Hi everyone, welcome to Flow and Restore Yoga. We begin with a half of this time in Vinyasa Flow and the second half in Yin and Restorative before 10 minutes of meditation. Luke is going to be in and out of camera today. Let's begin in Supta Baddha Konasana, which is actually a restorative position. You may want to grab a couple of blocks as you bring your feet together and let your knees fall apart, so that if your knees are lifting uncomfortably away from the ground, you can place the blocks under your outer thighs, one under each. And then come to lie down on your back for a moment to pause. You may like to set your hand on your heart center, a hand on your lower belly, whatever allows you to help connect with your body and your inner state. Beginning to find stillness here to tune in with what you're working with today, physically, mentally, emotionally. So as we've started to explore, we continue with understanding the four functions of the mind according to yoga philosophy, ancient Indian philosophy, actually, Samkhya, and Ayurveda. And those four functions of the mind in itself is called antarkarana. And we started with the sensory motor mind, which is manas. And today I wanted to talk about what's called ahamkara. Ahamkara is what we might know in the West as the ego, that voice that establishes our sense of separateness from others, our sense of identity. And there are ways to have a balanced ahamkara or ego, and it looks like being able to skillfully meet all of our needs to survive and to grow and to have a sense of willpower or tapas, right? Taking the necessary action to achieve our goals, a sense of commitment and determination to obtain success in the worldly life that this human body lives in. But when we have an imbalanced ego or imbalanced ahamkara, that can look like having a distortion of thought patterns, traumas, carrying traumas or core wounds, ways that we've been hurt in the past, maybe even far away as childhood, and having false beliefs that don't align to who we really are, like feelings of not accepting ourselves or feelings of unworthiness or skepticism about the world. And this can lead to mental suffering, right? Whole being suffering, as well as having a cloudy vision that creates a separation between us and them. So this idea of us and them, we're so separate. And so we know that yoga is much about finally coming to terms with union, right? Yoga itself means union. Unity consciousness is part of the eighth limb of yoga, known as samadhi. So how do we cultivate a healthy ego, a healthy ahamkara that functions to create a sense of self, but we don't completely identify ourselves with that ego voice that sometimes is trying to so-called protect us, but is actually sometimes layers of other people's voices, those who have brought us up, our culture, our societal norms that don't necessarily align to our inner truths. So remember that the goal of yoga is part of it. Yoga psychology is to have a transparency between these layers of the mind, these functions of the mind, so that we reduce the fluctuations that create, distortion in perception. So we're looking for clear perception, not colored by our past traumas or the filters that might inhibit us, like limiting beliefs, but having this alignment to truth within ourselves. Let's start with a physical practice, get moving in our bodies, slow down for personal reflection, and our guided meditation is a little touch of shadow work as we work today on this full moon. So as you're lying here, begin to deepen your breath, allowing your breath to expand into the four walls of your rib cage, down into the pit of your belly, and then take a few long sighs out to your mouth, releasing any sound. So at your own pace, inhaling more fully. And let it feel releasing as you exhale a sound or few through your mouth. And in this time, as you set your intention for your practice today or your dedication of your efforts here, let's chant the sound of Om that reminds us of our interconnection with all of life around us. Let's take a deep breath for that. I invite you to breathe now slowly through the nose, if that's available for you, while gently narrowing the back of your throat so that you offer your mind a gentle whispering sound, an even in and out breath to help anchor it here and now in your body. Listening to full breaths using Ujjayi Pranayama. Please bring your hands to your outer thighs. If there are props underneath, you can slide them off the mat and then draw your bent knees towards your chest together. Start to rock side to side, gently massaging your sacrum on the ground. Following the pace of your breath as you rock, so it's like a mini vinyasa flow or breath-led movement. Remember to allow yourself moments of stillness and rest whenever you need as you honor what your physical practice needs to be today. And then begin to rock forward and back several more times. We're going to land either sitting on the ground or sitting on a prop or hovering the pelvis, off the floor in your version of a squat so that your thighs are turned out from the hips, your knees are pointed out in the same degree as your middle toes underneath. And then join your hands together in prayer as you splay your inner thighs apart, perhaps with your elbows. Feel the ground with your feet. Lift up from the bottom of your spine to your crown. And feel a sense of an open heart space as we take 3 more deep Ujjayi breaths here. And though this part is a vinyasa flow, a continuous flow, honor the pace of your own breathing so that it's mindful movement, not rushed. Practicing presence in each posture, each transition. As you bring your fingertips to the ground in front of you, parallel your feet hips distance and come into a forward fold, Uttanasana. Pressing the ground or your legs, inhale, rise halfway up, draw your heart through your upper arms, gaze forward. Exhale, bow from your hips. Bend your knees here so your thighs are hips width apart. In chair pose, inhale your arms forward and up, lean back towards your heels as you sit low. Then press through all of your feet. Exhale, interlace the fingers inside out as you rise to stand in mountain pose. Inhale, stand a little taller. Press the shoulders down, hug your front ribs in. And as you exhale, begin a side bend to your right. Just one exhale. Draw your lower belly towards your spine. Inhale, rise up to center. Maybe switch the interlacing of thumb and index, palms face up. Exhale, side bend to your left. Engage your lower belly. Inhale, rise up to center. Interlace your fingers behind your lower back. And then exhale, bend your knees to fold forward. Inhale, rise halfway with bent knees. Draw your shoulders back. Keep the left knee bent. Exhale, straighten the right leg. Lean towards your outer right calf, stretching the arms forward. Inhale, bend both knees. Lift your spine again, halfway through center. Draw the shoulders back. Keep the right knee bent. Exhale, fold towards your left straighter leg. Arms reaching forward. Inhale, bend the knees. Rise halfway. Lift the heart. And now through center, exhale, fold, arms reaching forward, opening across the shoulders. Lower your hands, step back to plank pose, your version. Knees on the floor, legs straight. Exhale, glide forward. Graze your elbows by your side ribs through Chaturanga. Choose Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. pressing down firmly through the tops of your feet. And as you exhale, scoop your belly in, lift your hips back into downward facing dog. Let's pause for 3 deep breaths. Set your eyes steady. Bend your knees, lift your heels. Exhale, then walk or float your feet together to touch at the top of your mat. From your forward fold, inhale, rise halfway. Exhale, fold in. This time, let your knees come together to touch as you sit in chair. 1 inhale, arms up. Press through your feet, exhale, rise all the way to stand. So we're gonna start a new flow. We'll slow it down as we establish the sequence. Feet together in mountain pose, arms by your sides, Tadasana. On your next inhale, flex your right foot off the floor in front as you bend the knee in front of you, raising your arms forward, palms face up. And as you exhale, turn out your right thigh at the hip, figure 4 shape, cross the right ankle over your left thigh. Bending your left knee like chair pose, draw your hips back and join your hands together at your heart. Let's pause and breathe here for a moment. So it helps to balance by steadying your eyes on one spot ahead, feeling the belly engage towards your back. So keep your right foot flexed. Take 1 more breath here. Keep bending your left knee and lifting your arms. Inhale into chair pose with both feet on the ground touching, both knees touching. As you join your hands again together at your heart, exhale, slowly step your left foot all the way to the rear of your mat. So a giant step into Warrior 2. Spin the back heel flat. Align the front heel to arch a back foot and cartwheel your arms to stand in Warrior 2. Let's take a few breaths. So right away, steadying your eyes just past your right hand. Wrap your right outer hip underneath your body for the full turn out of your front leg. Left leg is completely straight as you firm the top of the thigh back towards your right wall. Tall spine, 1 more breath. Now keeping your right knee bent, flip your right palm to face the sky, exalted or peaceful warrior. Sweep your right arm up and overhead as you lean towards your rear wall. Now here your left hand could lightly land on your left leg, or you could choose to wrap your left arm behind your back, whatever degree you can reach, to open the front of your left shoulder. Feel this lateral opening on your right side. Breathe into it. On an exhale, rise up, straighten your legs, open your arms to prepare for triangle pose. Gliding your pelvis sideways towards the rear of your room, reach your right hand forward and down onto your right leg, or just to the right of the leg, you might use a block. Triangle pose. Left arm is straight up as you're looking towards it, if that feels okay on your neck. So legs are strong here, navel's drawing in. Take another breath in triangle. Then spiral your left tricep to face the left wall and sweep your left arm overhead for more extension on that left side of your torso. Extended triangle pose. Take another full cycle of breath. Looking down at your right foot, frame it with your 2 hands as you step into your version of plank. Use your next exhale to lower through Chaturanga. Inhale into Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhale into Downward Facing Dog. From Downward Facing Dog, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, bend your right knee, turn the thigh open at the hip. Stay here as you inhale, tack your left hip back. Now listen carefully. Exhale, step your right foot on the right edge of your mat, midway forward towards your hands. So on the right edge of your mat, midway forward towards your hands. Inhale, pivot your feet to face your right wall. As if you're coming into side plank, start to shift your torso forward, flexing both feet, roll onto the pinky toe edges of both feet. So as you press the floor away, raise your right arm to the sky, and you're balancing almost like side plank. From here, sink your left hip to touch the ground and sweep your right hand towards your rear wall. So there's a hip opening movement. Then press down again and inhale, lift your left hip, sweep your right arm up and overhead, down onto the mat, and step your 2 feet forward, top of the mat to fold. Inhale, bend your knees, sink your hips into chair pose. Exhale, rise up, and that completes the first side. It's kind of a windy road, but let's see how our brain can remember that. I'll remember it, you follow your breath. So arms by your sides, moving into side 2. Inhale, flex the left foot forward, sweep your arms forward. Exhale, turn out the left thigh and cross the ankle over right thigh. Sit into figure 4 shaped chair. Hands together at the heart. Inhale, stay in chair, lower the left foot next to the right foot, regular chair. Exhale, slowly step the right foot all the way back, cartwheeling your arms into warrior 2. Inhale, exalted or peaceful warrior. Sweep your left arm back, lateral stretch. Exhale, rise, straight legs, open arms, prepare for triangle. Inhale, sweep your hips back, reach the left hand forward and down into triangle pose. Exhale, stay here, sweep the right arm overhead, extended triangle. Look down at your left foot. Inhale, lower your hands to frame it in plank. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Finish it off at your pace of breath. Downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your left leg back. Exhale, bend your left knee, turn your thigh open. Staying here, inhale, tack right hip back. Listen carefully. Exhale, step left foot on, left edge of the mat, midway forward towards your hands. Inhale, pivot both feet to face your left wall and rock forward towards plank. Roll onto the outer edges of your feet, flex, left arm to the sky. Exhale, lower the right hip to the floor, sweep the left hand towards your rear wall. Inhale, push off the floor, rise again, sweep the left arm overhead and to the ground. Exhale, step to the top of your mat, feet touch. Inhale, bend your knees together, chair pose. Exhale, rise to stand in mountain. Now you've got the sequence, let's turn it into a meditative flow. One more each side. Inhale, right foot forward, arms forward. Find your balance. Exhale, figure 4, right ankle over left thigh. Sit into chair, hands at the heart. Inhale, step the right foot next to the left. Stay in chair, arms up. Exhale, slowly step left foot towards the rear of your mat. Warrior 2, arms open. Inhale, sweep the right arm back, peaceful or exalted warrior. Exhale, rise with straight legs, prepare for triangle. Inhale, reach forward and down, entering triangle pose. Stay here, exhale, left arm overhead, extended triangle. Look at your right foot. Inhale, lower into plank pose. Exhale through chaturanga, keep going through your vinyasa. Remember, you can change this part up into cat-cow or forgo it and go directly to downward dog. Downward facing. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale, bend your right knee, turn open at your hip. Staying here, inhale, tack left hip back. Exhale, step right foot on right edge of the mat, midway forward towards your hands. Inhale, pivot both feet to face your right wall, shift forward towards a side plank. Flexing the outer feet, right arm to the sky. Exhale, lower the left hip and reach the right hand towards your rear wall. Inhale, push off the floor, rise, right arm overhead. Exhale, step, step to the top of your mat, feet touch. Inhale, bend your knees together, chair pose. Exhale, rise your back to mountain. Last side, listen to your breath. Inhale, flex the left foot forward, raise the arms forward. Exhale, figure four shape, left ankle, sit into chair, hands at the heart. Inhale, arms lifting, step into chair pose with both feet on the ground. Exhale, join the hands at the heart again, step the right foot all the way to the rear of your mat, warrior two, arms wide. Inhale, sweep the left palm back into peaceful or exalted warrior. Exhale, rise, straight legs, prepare for triangle. Inhale, shift left hand forward and down, entering triangle pose. Exhale, right arm overhead, extended triangle. Look down, inhale, lower into plank pose. Exhale, you choose, flow into your vinyasa or none. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Downward dog. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, bend the knee, turn your thigh open at your hip. Inhale, tack right hip back. Exhale, step left foot on, left edge of the mat, midway forward towards your hands. Inhale, shift forward, roll onto the outer feet, left arm to the sky. Exhale, tap the right hip on the floor, send the left hand towards your rear wall. Inhale, press off the ground, rise, left arm overhead. Exhale, step, step to the top of your mat, feet touch. Inhale, bend your knees together, chair pose. Changing it up, join your hands at your heart and begin a twist in your chair to the right. Breath by breath, about 5 cycles. So we play with contrast in this flow and restore class. We're in constant flow in the beginning, and then we really find that honoring of stillness. What seems like opposites helps to create a feeling of wholeness. Sink your hips a little lower. Inhale, unwind your arms, come back to your center. Option to rise into mountain first, or stay in chair and begin to twist to your left side. Bit more fiery, but you choose how much fire do you need right now to feel balanced. It's part of that healthy ego, knowing when to listen to that voice in your mind or when it's not feeling aligned to who you truly are. That core self, we also call soul or inner being. Sink your hips a little bit lower. Inhale, unwind your arms through center. Trace your pelvis down an imaginary wall and exhale, lower to sit, catching the backs of your thighs in Navasana boat pose. Now you could choose to hold your thighs or you could extend the arms forward. You could choose to bend your knees or you could extend your legs straight. Stay still, or let's take it into one last flow. Inhale, sitting tall in boat pose, Navasana. Exhale, lower halfway down into Ardha Navasana, half boat. Pause here, inhale. Contract the belly, exhale, lift. Inhale, pause. Exhale, lower. Inhale, pause. Exhale, lift. Let's play with 2 more. Inhale, pause. Exhale, lower. Inhale, pause. Exhale, lift. Feel the relaxed tone of the music. Inhale, pause. Exhale, lower. Inhale, pause. Exhale, lift. 15 more. Just kidding. Let's bring the feet together to touch. Bend the knees apart. And then let's Sufi roll a bit. So you can press your hands onto your inner thighs and begin to circle your rib cage forward. Breathe in. Circle your rib cage back. If it's challenging to stay balanced with your legs like this, you can cross your legs. You can switch up your legs as you need. And then go in both directions as you feel ready to. Make it your own movement. You might want to roll out the shoulders, the head, the arms. Create your own dance here for about 5 to 10 more breaths. What needs to move? What needs a bit awakening through flow? No right or wrong. Feeling it intuitively. Any sound that needs to flow as well. Maybe a shake, maybe a sharper movement. Last few breaths here. Get it in. And then as you're ready, please find your pillows. We're gonna set ourselves up here for a supported twist. Now, set up your pillow like a recliner, so if you have other blocks, you can place them stacked at the rear edge of the mat underneath the pillow, so you have a slant and incline moving down towards where you're sitting. And then have your right hip flush against that bottom edge of the inclined pillow. And now extend your legs out to the side as your right hip is against the bottom edge of the pillow. And slide your left leg down the midline of your mat. So now you have an L shape out of your legs. Place 2 hands along the left and right sides of the pillow to frame it. And then adjust your pelvis or your legs as you need. You might want to bend the knees so that you can completely turn your chest to face the pillow. And from here, you can start to lower your belly. Start to lower your head, maybe turning your head to one side, spiraling the twist into your neck. And I'm gonna watch the clock here for 2 minutes before we switch sides. So get comfortable, use any other props that you might need so that you can rest in stillness here. And then notice how your body is breathing. Sometimes in the physical asana practice, we can hear the ego mind perhaps reciting thoughts and beliefs we've heard others tell us. And as you listen to what voices or what thoughts may arise, notice if you have any emotional reaction to them. Our emotions can be such powerful indicators when we are aligned to our truth or when we're not aligned to our truth. Is there any part of your body you're noticing that's clenching or holding on to something right now? You can smile inwardly at and say it's all right, you can let go. that, let's take the last 2 long exhales in this position. As you feel ready, begin to press the ground with your hands, slowly lifting your head, your torso. Keep the props right where they are. We'll turn the body once you're sitting upright to face away from the pillow, extending both legs straight down the midline of your mat. Just pausing here for a moment in Dandasana and stick pose. You might place your hands alongside your hips. Allow a few breaths to feel your spine unwind from the twist. Now keep your right leg right where it is, and let's slide your left leg towards your left side. Now with your legs like an L shape, turn your chest to face the pillow, placing your hands along the left and right sides of the pillow. Make whatever adjustments you might need in your legs, your pelvis, maybe bending the knees, so that your chest can easily face the pillow. And slowly begin to lower your torso, adjusting the props as you might need. Maybe turning your head in the opposite direction as you had on the first side. Again, we'll be here for 2 minutes. So I continue to reference this idea of aligning to our truth. What does that actually mean? Well, it can be that feeling in your gut when you know that something is definitely so. It makes you feel alive and you feel naturally pure joy. Or those moments of complete love and acceptance. And your truth can be tied to those that you hold sacred, the values that you hold sacred, that resonate with you. And not feeling aligned to our truth. It could feel like when we're cutting ourselves off from source. Maybe acting upon a limiting belief. That undercuts our worth, our sense of self-value. And these are just a few angles to look at these terms. Honoring our truth, not honoring our truth. Let's take 2 last long exhales here. Gently pressing the ground, slowly rise up. And we'll keep the props again just as they are, unless they're not in a space where you can straddle your legs so that the bottom edge of that pillow meets the center of your pelvis. Straddling your legs apart like a V. And then rolling with your hands, your inner thighs back so that you can anchor your two sitting bones. Make sure that your knees are pointing upwards, they're not pointing forward. If it helps, you can lightly flex your feet to keep that anchoredness of your sitting bones. And then use your hands for a moment and try to hold the bottom of your rib cage like it's a big jar. And can you take a deep breath, press the pelvis down, and lift your rib cage, especially the back ribs, to feel that lengthening of the lower part of your torso. Now keep that lengthening, relax the shoulders, keep the throat open, and then hinge forward slowly. If you don't want to turn your head to one side or the other, perhaps you have a little towel that you can fold up, your strap, make a little bit of a pillow for your forehead to rest on so you can breathe. If you want to lie face down, that could be your forearms too. And I'll watch the clock again for another 2 minutes. Check in with your breathing here. Know that you can adjust the height of this pillow. If you're not feeling much sensation here in your hips, you can lower the pillow, you can remove the blocks that are underneath. All right, let's finish one more long exhale in this posture. As you feel ready, take your time pressing down to lift. Now we're gonna set up for either sitting cross-legged, right shin forward or on top of left shin, or coming into double pigeon pose, in which you stack your knees and your ankles and make sure to flex your feet in a way that the balls of the big toe mounds of your feet are pressing towards the side walls. If you're finding it challenging to sit upright, you can grab a folded blanket and make it as thin or thick as you need to sit on. Elevate your sitting bones as you need. If you find that your top thigh is lifting uncomfortably, grab whatever props you have to comfortably support it. And maybe that space decreases as you're in this pose longer. We're gonna take this for 3 minutes on each side, a little bit longer. So you might move the flesh aside from your sitting bones, get really anchored down. Again, lift the rib cage, lengthen your torso, and then honor the space at your throat so your breath can easily flow as you begin to walk your hands forward. Place any props here to support your arms, your forehead, pillows, whatever you have. And I'm watching the clock for 3 minutes. light reminder, how is your breathing right now? Last few breaths here. And slowly begin to press the ground, lifting from your chest, rise up. Extend your legs forward for a moment. You might want to roll out your feet, especially if you've been flexing them. And then see if you can set up in a similar variation on side 2, crossing the left shin forward or on top of the right shin. So whether that's sitting cross-legged or stacking your ankles and knees into full pigeon, in which you flex your feet to stabilize your knees, maybe placing a prop underneath your thigh. Sitting up tall, begin to hinge from your hips. Take your time. Observe if there's anything different on this side that you need to really practice mindfulness about and compassion for. Noticing whatever you notice, what might be unraveling here. It might be rising to the surface, emerging from the shadows. As I mentioned last class, the breath is viewed as a bridge regulating the external sensory world and the internal subjective experience. Shoulders relaxed, jaw unclenched. Last few breaths. take your time crawling your hands towards you, gently rising up to sit again. You could extend your legs one last time to move around any way. You shake them out, shake anything out. Perhaps a couple of lion's breaths. And then grab whatever props you need so that we can set ourselves up for comfy corpse pose, Shavasana. Feel into the left and right hemispheres of your body, aiming for some sort of symmetry here. And then closing your eyes, feeling into last breath or two, controlled release. And letting go to what's here now, observing in this stillness. Feel into the effects of your asana yoga practice so far. Dharana, practice of concentration. And pranayama, practice of breath work. Taking your time, feel into how your body wants to gently move out of stillness and gradually towards a comfortable seat for our 10 minutes of guided meditation on this full moon. Here's a quote by BKS Iyengar. Ego has been compared to the filament in a light bulb, which, because it glows with light, proclaims itself to be the light source, electricity. In reality, the light that shines from I consciousness devolves from another and deeper source, one unknowable in daily life, but which mankind has always intuitively felt to exist. The common word we give to this is soul. If the I attaches itself to consciousness, it becomes ego, ahamkara. If the I can be erased, awareness of soul infuses the consciousness. Nevertheless, when ego is quiescent, consciousness senses the reality of the soul, and the light of soul expresses itself through the translucent consciousness. Sitting comfortably upright, relaxed, whether eyes closed or open, softly gazing at one spot. Today's meditation is a practice of shining the light in an area of shadow within ourselves. We all have shadows. And shadows, as defined by the psychologist Carl Jung, are those attributes or things about ourselves that lie in our unconscious mind. Perhaps they've been repressed, feeling shame about these attributes or qualities about ourselves. Somehow they're hidden from our regular awareness. So let's begin feeling the calm, natural flow of your breath. Wherever in your body you can feel that flow. And know that any time that this practice may incite emotional overwhelm, you have the freedom to choose to focus only on the sensation of your breath. So moments in which our shadow side might surface is moments in which we feel triggered, which means when we're emotionally reactive, disproportionate to the situation at hand. Whether or not we act upon that emotional reaction. So I invite you to recall a moment recently in which you felt triggered. Perhaps something someone said that sparked a heightened emotion within you, usually of discomfort of some kind, anger, resentment, flight or fight response. And as you ground in this present moment, feeling your breath, pinpointing that occasion of feeling triggered. And you narrow down on what the trigger was. Seeing something specific, hearing something specific. Can you narrow it down into a phrase, 1 to 3 words? And then notice as you ask yourself what comes up. What does this look like? What does this trigger that you've identified look like? It might take shape in many forms or not. And then ask yourself, what does this feel like? What does this feel like? Feel it in your body, feel it in your heart, in your energetic state. Again, remember that you can return to the breath as a safe place. And then asking yourself, what does this remind me of? What does this stimulus that triggered me remind me of? It might resemble a situation in your past. Maybe as young as during childhood. So as you answer and ask these questions, color this practice with self-compassion. Our purpose is to uncover what might be lurking in the shadows so that we have more freedom of choice. And now lastly, in your interpretation, what does this mean? The stimulus that triggered you, what does it mean? Notice if it might direct you towards a thought that you repeat to yourself and have adopted as a belief, perhaps even a limiting belief that is not aligned to who you are or your truth. Notice if there's any particular belief or thought that could be useful for you to address. Notice on this full moon, which is an opportune time to reflect on the months past and to set intentions for shedding old habits or patterns of thought that are no longer useful to our well-being. Is there any harmful thought or belief? You can set an intention to begin energetically releasing. And just like cleaning house, as we release something, we can then put our focus on what we want to replace it or what we want to create. What are you now allowing space for? Perhaps a more empowering thought, a loving belief about yourself. Or a belief about somebody else. How would it feel to truly embrace that new, loving thought or belief that does resonate with your core being? And as you embody that renewed sense of alignment to self, to Atman, to soul, however you want to call it. Let's bring the palms to meet at the heart, bowing in gratitude. For it's not always easy to look at what's in our shadows and may cause us discomfort to look at. Sometimes it can be helpful to know that it's through that seeming darkness that we can expose light. And with that, let's close this practice. One chant of Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.